Welcome to Growing and Learning with the Woodpile. Today, I was going to walk you through my garden layout and some sort of plan that I have and show you the areas I usually don't like you to see, but why they're functional and why you have to have these spaces, at least in my garden, but every garden needs a place where you hold things. So we're going to start down Compost Alley. It's really not all compost. I got my 3 wheelbarrows. I'm not going to go into wheelbarrow stability, but this one is the best. Same brand, not so good, wobbly. But this one is actually my favorite. It's low, it's easy to get around, but it doesn't hold as much. And you would think with 3 wheelbarrows, why do you need 3? I mix all my own garden soil, so usually in one I have my peat moss hydrating, and then I mix soil and compost in one, and then I usually have straw in the other one. But so this is Compost Alley. The first one is my active compost. Now, compost is my least favorite chore that I have not mastered in the garden. There's too much straw in it right now, but I need to flick it over the green stuff in there. My favorite little shovel fell down there. You can see the handle. He's just a little guy. Let me see if I can grab him. So he's my favorite shovel. He's probably waist high. And then I have this little pick, and that's what I use to mix the compost. Now these are all from the city of Mesa. I live in Mesa, Arizona, 9B, in the winter time till about May, till I go to the family ranch. The second one is usually my active, my done compost, or my mostly done compost, or the compost I use. And whoo, right now you're like, oh, look at that compost. She did a good job. Oh, that's cheating. I went to the city of Tempe, a neighbor city. They have a compost program with their citizens, and you can go buy their fine compost for a cubic yard. It was $40 some odd, 50, can't remember. And then the course was $25. I bought the fine, and it was really fine. Now, if I was really good at compost, this would all be, it would go from this one to this one to this one. Well, nope, compost stops there. This one is part of composting. It's my browns. In there is shredded mel. And then I used to have a bunch of, you can see the remnants of wood shavings. I need to get some more from my brother. He's doing a project. The next one is straw. One of my friends gave me a straw bale. It's been in there since, I actually had 2 since Halloween, and all my beds are now composted with straw. And they're also growing alfalfa or oat or whatever the seed is that was in there, but it was free and it worked. This last one is the soil I pick up from the nursery I get my soil at, Steam Farms, and they mix the soil with sand, compost, topsoil, but it is a little too dense, so I do mix in peat moss and vermiculite when I put it in my garden bed. Coming over here is the truck I always get the soil in. Right now it has a bunch of stuff going to Goodwill. My youngest is 18. Compost sifter, got from my mom, never used because my compost never breaks down enough, and I just stick it in the bottom of those beds over there. This is a trampoline mat right here. I actually put it in the truck, lay it down, so when they put the compost in it, that it kind of is easier to clean out the back of the truck. These are sunflower stalks from last year. I always have this dream of like, I'm going to put them in the garden and things will trellis on them. Things don't trellis on them yet. Haven't done it. Chicken wire I did use when my cats were getting in the bed. Did watch, I think the rustic gardener has like, he makes a teepee and lets his stuff crawl up at his cucumbers. My son's old truck. I have 3 sons. This is the middle son's truck. This is the carpet. We'll talk more about that when we get over to the beds. This is my potting up table or my extra table. These are pots I need to wash. These are my backup squashes that are here. And some other plants I need to take to the free little plant stand. This is Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. He gets roped and he lost his red nose. I have a eclectic collection of stuff. I am a horse trainer, work from the family ranch, and my kids like to do mechanic stuff. So we will go down the beds and the layout in a minute. We'll show you one more not fun place it's getting organized. It's a work in progress. So this is a lot of my overflow garden stuff. Peat moss down here, vermiculite, buckets. Some of them have holes, some of them I just mix dirt in. Some old pots. I realized I don't have a need for pots. And I'll explain if I remember in a little bit. This is my drip irrigation go-to bucket. It has everything I need in to extend the drip irrigation or plug off holes. These are sprays that I don't use a whole lot. Miracle-Gro, don't rarely use. These buckets, if they were better organized, had the cups to measure out fertilizer or anything else I need to fertilize, some extra shovels and buckets, compost thermometer, compost thermometer, T-post clips. This will be for the shade when I put it up, diatomaceous earth, alfalfa pellets. That's when the family travels. Goes on top of the car. I think this is actually empty. Little greenhouse I use quite a bit. It's probably at the last of its days. This is the potting up soil. This was my shade cloth from last year. I should probably throw away. It shaded the garden too much and didn't work. Then this is another drip irrigation bucket with extra stuff. The bigger drip hose. And down there is some pots, some random pots. Then that's 22 years old. I can't throw it away. It still works. Fisher Price, you go with those little cars. Some lid to totes that I need to wash off and get out of the sun. Coming down this way, my son's four-wheeler that he's always has a project going on. Same one that has a truck, and probably his tires too. Lawnmower. I keep a garbage can over here. It's handy. Some extra posts and stuff to put plants up on. So this is like garden stuff that I don't use all the time. Now, let's talk about the garden layout. The garden layout, we come back over here. These 4 beds are 4x8. They are newer beds that I put in last year. The fabric bed over here is brand new. I put that in October. And these these 50-gallon drums cut in half, holes drilled in them, were from last year. And then as we go down, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 beds. Then there's 4 2x8 beds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all my new fabric bags that I made myself. And then there's these red food grade buckets. And I laid it out actually I thought this was the best looking layout. It was before I knew about sun and all these other things. But this is about 1 o'clock in the day. And everything but these buckets are getting sun. So I may move those. I just put this new arch in 2 days ago, and it's actually not even attached to the T-post. That needs to be done. But I may move those to a different spot. So I laid it out because I laid it out for looks, and I am lucky that I get sun everywhere. I did have a problem last year with this eucalyptus tree shading too much with the shade I put up, and then you can see the structure with the lights is where the sun shade goes. And it's lucky through what's growing where. We're not going to get too much into plants, but my reasoning behind planting things in certain spots. This is the strawberry bed. These were bare root strawberries, but they have a few strawberries in here, and I took a class at the Pima Master Gardeners, and they say there's a horrible, at least even for here, because we get so hot, for the strawberries, and the soil falls, and the strawberries were down here, and they were hard to get out. So it's mint all the way around with lavender in it, and there's actually drip irrigation laid in there. Everything is on drip irrigation. Because I go to my family's ranch during the summer, and I come back and forth every 2 weeks, I have a son that's not going to get out. He will water maybe the green stalk, but he is not going to hand water. And so everything is on drip irrigation. So strawberry intermixed with some herbs. And then this is the hot pepper beds. These are all like poblanos, hatch green chili, jalapenos. These are all the pepper bed. I did put in some green beans, but again, we're not going to what it is. We're just going into the layout. So I put the hot peppers here. I don't really think they cross-pollinate. And the reason why this bed is here is because it gets sun from the time the sun comes up till about, I don't know, 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And then the shop here shades it. And that's good in the summer because it's so hot. And I had an Anaheim chili in here that lasted year round. I did cover it, I think, once with a frost, a chance of freeze. You know, here in Phoenix 9B, we don't get freezes very often. But I know because it gets sun all day that I can grow peppers year round. So that is the hot pepper bed. Then some herbs. So these are peas, and I thought they were done. And then you can see they had a growth spurt where the green is. And this year that will be, those peas will come out soon. And I'm going to do pole beans, yard-long beans on this one, and maybe a few cucumbers in it. Green stalk, self-explanatory. This, I like these, this arch right here. If I redid all my arches with cattle panel, see, it fits in the middle of the 4 feet bed, in the middle. And then this one is in the middle. So there's 2 feet on either side of the bed. Now, this one, there's 1 foot here, and then there's 3 foot here. So it's hard to reach through the cattle panel and plant things or come around the other side. So at some point, but there was, and when I have help and there's not a growing lovely tomato plant in there, I will move it over and put it into the middle of the bed. And I will do that to this next trellis here. So this has tomatoes and tomatillos in it, and beets. And I did have squash in it last year. I didn't have very many, and I didn't get very many, and I didn't get squash bugs, but I didn't plant squash there again. I'll have to learn more about, I'm kind of locked in where I can plant things because my peppers will be annual. This was Tomato Alley last year. It still is Tomato Alley this year. That's if the parsley didn't take over. Now, this was the worst performing bed right here last year, and it was right underneath the tree, and it had shade cloth on it, and I just think it just didn't get enough sun. Even when it's 110, you still need sun. It didn't get enough sun. Things didn't do well. Things did well there after I trimmed the tree at Christmas, and I finally got some broccoli to grow, and it's doing well. So that'll be its first summer. Again, all these, now the peppers starting here are now snacking peppers are in these. Sweet peppers, there's the Carmen Italiana, the sweet bites that I really enjoyed last year. They, I did have to amend these buckets, so I did pull out the peppers and cut them down to the Y here, and you can see that they did bounce back. I was a little scared there. If you don't live in a hot zone, you can overwinter your peppers inside, take them out. I think you spray the roots off and put them in some different type of soil so you don't get gnats, and then you can overwinter your peppers in your house. Mine overwintered out here as full pepper plants. I cut them down when I redid the soil, and now I'm hoping I'll never have to redo the soil. I might have to cut them down around Christmas time, but I'm hoping they'll be there until they die. So years, I'm hoping they're there for years. All the new gray fabric bags that I made are going to be, over here will be some melons, but all the ones in front, my plan is to be zucchinis and squashes so they can grow out here. I have to make little paths so I can walk between them so they can grow out. I am going to put probably some tomato cages or some type of these wire mesh that I have behind this to maybe try to trellis it up. I tried trellising zucchini last year and it didn't go so well, but I also didn't know what I was doing. Now this little red bucket here is going to be a decoy squash. I heard that blue Hubbard squash is a magnet for squash bugs, so I'm planting it so all these squashes will be safe and all the bugs will go to the bucket. And that's why I put it in a bucket. You can barely grow squash in a 5-gallon, but it's not that I really want squash off of it. I just really want the bugs to go there if I get them. I didn't get them last year. I was lucky. But then again, I tore out my squash plant early. Over here, this fabric bed went in October. The potatoes went in around Christmas, and I do got some potato sprouts. So I'm trying potatoes for the first time. Some broccoli over here I need to pull because it's probably getting ready to go to seed. It was that geometric shaped broccoli, the Roman something. I can't remember what it was called. See, this one is like an alien. Has all these little tendrils coming up it. Kind of scary looking. When it wasn't producing broccoli for months, I put these in October. I actually would pull these leaves and eat them, and it just tastes like cabbage. I'm not one that's like, oh, try this, it's so great. I do not like radish leaves. But coming over here, these tomatoes have overwintered. They've been here a year, and they are now putting on lots of fruit, and I will keep them until they die, but I did plant new baby tomatoes down here at the bottom. I did put in eggplant, one here, and one over there. Eggplant are supposed to be like peppers and can year round, so I wanted to try to put them in a spot that they could stay, and they like heat, and this gets more sun throughout the day. Now this is a sweet pepper bed with flowers and herbs in the front, all except this pepper. This is an Anaheim pepper. I'm sorry, Garden Kitty number 1, we're filming. Yeah, did you want to say hi? Hi. Yeah, hi. Excuse the interruption. So I was just waiting until those peppers went ahead and turned red so I can harvest them. I do want to pull him out because this is all going to be sweet peppers. There's some canaries, shishito, which I heard it has a little tiny bit of spice, but not. So I do the shishito, and there's some mini bells and some yolos. This was a yolo that overwintered, and they got really quite small through the winter. These ones didn't. So I will probably pull these and make some salsa or roast them and freeze them, and then pull this pepper plant out and probably take it to the free little plant stands. This is Yolo Peppers. He is starting to bounce back. He has bounced back, and there's one more that's starting to get leaves in the back. But we're not doing a plant tour. It's really hard to not talk about plants. So this is the trellis that I just put in, the 2-panel cattle panel trellis. This is my favorite spot in the garden. We're not talking about plants. What about the daikon radish that went to flower? It's going to seed. It's kind of pretty, the little flowers. And it's starting to get these little pods right here. But I love sitting here and looking at the garden. So this is my spot in the morning that I come out and just relax and look at the garden. The garden has been a lot of hard work lately, especially the sowing was time consuming, but filling the bags with soil is so hard. But this is one of my favorite spots in the garden. We did talk about the red buckets over here. Everything's on drip. You can see the drip line running through it. These are on drip. This is the line running through it. Now this spot is a spot that doesn't get a lot of sun, and honestly, it's like if we do house projects, this is where like I wash off the paint and stuff because I don't want it in the garden. Now we're coming over to an area it's hard for me to share. I've always wanted this to be a pretty spot, my patio, but it's a functioning patio. It has many different uses. Well, first use is it's a grill. Second use, this table isn't normally here. I was making the fabric bags, and I will now go ahead and break it down and put it away. There's the fabric I used. It was 6 feet tall. Over here, my kids do mechanic stuff, fiddling with their cars, oil changes and stuff. These are some extra hose stuff. My sunscreen right there. I put it there so I remember to put it on. Don't always remember to put it on. This is our Western and more jacks and stuff. Both me and my son train horses, so our saddles go there, bridles and ropes. Up here is the buckets I use, and then the gloves that I'm currently using go up here that are clean. You'll see my other gloves over here. Wrapping around, I'm getting ready to paint all the doors in my house and put in a new front door. So it's paint sprayer that I borrowed from my mommy. The paint's out, getting ready for me to go. Now this is the bucket I sit on when I garden, and also it has all my tools, my hori knife, all my shovels, everything that's just right there. Another garbage can, so garbage can go where garbage goes. Right now this table is a seed collecting table. I'm getting ready to probably take these down and donate them They, sunflowers and sweet purple basil, opal basil, amaranth, lettuces. These were zinnias, and I need to see, my local library has a seed library also, and like this I know is Merlot lettuce, but this I don't know the name of, and so I don't know if they want things that I don't know exactly what it is. This is my glove pile, and they're still crunchy. This is when I was mixing up the dirt for the new fabric beds, and so I usually will throw those in a 5-gallon bucket and just kind of hand wash them and then lay them out on this table to dry. This is another spot. This chair is normally not here, but I will pull out one of the other metal chairs and sit here and enjoy my garden with all the extra stuff behind me. Again, the fabric. I'm almost tempted to take that fabric and pull up those chips and put it down, because this is the chips that got dropped after they did the tree, and it's probably 6 inches, and I was hoping the grass wouldn't come up, and as you see, the grass is coming up. So that is one of my, I don't want to say regrets, that I didn't put cardboard down. I just really was thinking that much mulch, and I'm a new gardener, so I'm still learning that I should have put cardboard down. All right, the last of the patio, the ancient welder that does work. These are fertilizers and insecticidal soap. So this is the stuff that I use more often right here. And then these just haven't been put away, but they've been washed from when I started seeds. These are more heavy duty gloves down in there. Some pots that I have out because the plants that I want to take and give away, I don't want them in my good potting up pots. And then this is the new sunshade that will go up. And those were the buckets down there that I mixed up my seed starting in. This is the exercise machine that's going to get used someday, right? And then this is the new door jamb that's going up front that I need to pull out, wipe down, start priming. So this is the area that I don't always like to show. Before we go up front in the garden planning, now this was just dirt, right, last year, just dirt. And I made the choice to put down weed barrier. There's weed barrier underneath these. And this is outdoor carpet. And I don't regret it right now, but I'm probably going to regret it in a year because it is starting to show some wear. But it was the easiest way to control the grass and the weeds the first year I put my garden in. Now, I may just get more of this chip drop and drop it over it because I want my path this long. So I may just drop chips on it because I'm not going to plant things there. But I don't know. We'll see. And there is some wear and tear on, I need to get better connectors instead of these PVC ones. If you look here, re-drill the hole in the PVC and then into the pipe to hold them together. And I've now found some other places online that sell better connectors, the metal ones that aren't like $9 for one connector. They're like $2 or $3. You can see where the wind did bend, actually down here, because it was so dense, the sunshade I had, it caught air during the monsoons, and you can see this little indentation. Now, underneath these is rebar pounded into the ground, and the rebar goes back up to here, and in a few spots over here, I tied some bricks to hold it down, and that seemed to keep it into place. So I'm not saying I regret the sunshade, I don't. Structure, it just needs to go to the next level. And I don't regret the outdoor carpet, I do like the look of it, but it's not going to last much longer, but it's done its job. And I did make the mistakes when I first put in these beds. I put weed cloth underneath all these beds, and if you go back and watch my video resetting the beds, me and my sons pulled out all the dirt, pulled out the weed cloth, put in cardboard, and amended the soil because it was that Sing Farm soil that was too dense, and we put in peat moss and vermiculite and compost back into it, and we did all these beds, and it was a ton of work. Also, these two beds over here and this tomato archway, these two beds are actually on like some type of cement. These were the structures that are in cement, the poles that held this structure when we bought the house. These ones were in dirt over here, so we were able to pull those out. So I just incorporated that into the beds. And these 1, 2, 3, 4, these 2x8 beds, back in 2009 was my first attempt at gardening, and I did it for a couple years, and my kids were young, and I was working full time, and life was hard, and I quit gardening after 2 years. The beds sat there. They were actually over there on the other side of where the truck was, over there, and weren't used. This dirt was still in it, but that's like 10 years, and those boards have held up. Now I'm dry because I'm in Phoenix, I'm in 9B, but they have held up all these years, and my backup plan is if these beds ever go, I think I will still leave the boards there, and I'll just take like cement blocks and put it around to hold it together. But I don't want to think of that. That's too much work, and hopefully these last many more years. It's just so bright out here. I can't really see what I'm filming. So we're going to do just the garden up front and the last side of the house. I am on drip irrigation, and this is my hose. This is well put away for me. It never makes it in the twirly. I really want a hose link. I should ask for that for Mother's Day, but it's too much trouble to wind that all in. The bed that only has weeds has this black hose that starts here at the timer, comes over here because there's extra twirls around, and then goes back behind the daikon radish flowers, and there's a splitter with the pressure that starts the drip irrigation. So right, you can see right down there, there's 2 of those pressure backflow with a splitter that starts 2 hoses. And I just had put so much on one hose, I was afraid that by the time I got to the end, there wasn't going to be enough pressure. So that's the second hose comes in, and then about there, I cap it off and split it, so then the rest of those beds are on its own. And it seems to work. Okay, drip irrigation, it's the best, so I can go work at the family ranch. Totally worth the time and the hurt fingers. Walking down this is my extra T-posts, one more of the concrete mesh that I need to make some type of cage for the squash plants that I want to put in. I scored this extra conduit that's what the shade structure is made out of, and there's a couple of spots, like especially on this one right here, that have 4 little connections because there's 4 little pieces, and I didn't want to buy another piece. And so I think if I replace one of these pieces, just to make it stronger. Now my kids do like all their oil changes and radiator flushes or whatever, and that's their stuff. We do take that to the city of Mesa, like hazard department. I think you can do it for free a couple of times a year. Coming up here is my green garbage can that I don't use a whole lot, but I did today because I did sweep where that oil and stuff was, and I didn't want those leaves tainted with oil to go into my compost, because usually I put that in my compost. My 2 City of Blue recyclable ones, the black one, the roping spear, the basketball hoop that has no function anymore and I need to get rid of. And then up front is nothing edible. Well, take that back. I guess calendula is edible, and aloe vera, when I burn myself. These are my 4 aloe vera plants, flowers. Oh, the sunflowers were volunteers from last year. My rose plant in memory of my sister. And then, so this is all just flowers up front. I did want to plant more sunflowers, but the calendula, it took over. The calendulas, 2, the yellow and the orange, that's a straw flower. There actually is some nasturtiums in here. There's 2. He's one down here. He's hiding. And then the African daisies, and then some milkweed. I put in sunflowers, but they didn't sprout because they got all choked out. And then the bougainvillea. So the one thing I did with the bougainvillea, I think it's in the planting video, no, it was the filling the fabric pots video, is I trimmed it way back and I put it in the bottom of these pots because I didn't want to put so much soil, and I stood on it, stomped it down, and now you can see it was bleeding red and it stained the concrete. So I need to get some type of water catches underneath that and figure out how to clean the concrete. But this is my garden layout tour of why I put things where, things I should have done differently, things I'm still learning. But thank you for learning and growing with the Woodpile. Well, we will always continue to learn.